motion to go back into the open.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We were in executive session under personnel, employee matters, and attorney privilege. No action is taken. At this time, we'll open up the first public portion. At this time, anyone wishing to speak, please come forward, state your name and address. We have 3 minutes to speak on any agenda items. Seeing none, I'll close the public portion. At this time, I will move on to committee liaison reports.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Yes.
I have a report.
Yes, I know. I was listening.
Okay.
It was good to know.
Thank you. Last week, I attended the inaugural meeting of the brand new curriculum council. That council consists of the board committee on curriculum. That's Sujata Senku, myself, and Kevin Cancino, the superintendent and the director of curriculum, Mr. Salvo. All 5 building administrators are also on the curriculum council, and then a selection of teachers from each building that locally lead in curriculum development. The goal of the committee is to encourage cooperation and collaboration as a district. What we talked about at the meeting was, first of all, the recommendations of the CUSAC committee on instruction and programming. They are recommending strongly that we develop a reasonable and followable pacing guide. That's not a set of lessons that every teacher has to implement. It's not a lockstep curriculum, but it is a sequence of learning objectives that everyone agrees to follow in a timely fashion. The idea is that if you have to take an extra day to cover one of the learning objectives, that you understand where that extra day is going to come from in the calendar. Because if you take too many of those, then you fall it behind, and those delays can propagate up to later grades. So it's very important to follow the pacing guide. And we'd like to see the 1920 pacing guide in place by the end of this school year, so that teachers can go home for the summer understanding what has to be done for the following year. Another thing we talked about at the curriculum council meeting was the new Linkit platform. Linkit is being used in all grades K through 8 and gradually being introduced into the high school. It's a testing platform where we can import the assessments that we're currently doing into the platform and administer them through the platform. But really importantly, these assessments can be basically tagged by the various learning objectives, and then you can report on them so that teachers and administrators can understand how the students are doing on very granular, very particular, very individual learning items. So that'll help with classroom practices, understanding what students are in need of what instruction, and also what groups of students. So the goals for Linkit are to get as much of our current assessments into that platform as possible, and also to get as many instructors bought into data-driven instruction using Linkit to guide classroom decisions. After that, we had a brief board committee meeting, Mr. Salvo and I, and he gave me a nice tour of Linkit. And I appreciate the walk. And it's my report.
Thank you. Any other? Hearing none, we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Harms. Congratulations, boys and girls. We do have a couple of brief presentations that I wanted to, but they'll be very brief so we can get on to the important part of the meeting, which is to recognize them. We have Mr. Salvo here tonight to present the Part test scores to the board in public, as is required to do by the Department of Education. It requires to annually report to the public in one of the board meetings. Prior to Mrs. Alba coming up, I did want to give an update on our plans for the preschool grade. As everyone knows, possibly not, on October 1st, we were notified by the state that we were selected as one of the districts to receive a grant so we can have a preschool for 3-4-year-old preschool in the district. Obviously, there was a lot of work that went into it. I wanted to thank Mrs. Siciliano, who's not here tonight, for doing a lot of this work, because there's a lot of work to fill out the application, make sure that we had all the information required to be selected. And we were very happy and proud because this is going to be incredibly beneficial for the students who qualified. First of all, they'll get to know our school a little bit better. We will be able to provide for them a social, emotional, as well as an academic experience when they're 3 and 4 year old. So it's certainly something very beneficial. We will also be able to intervene or find interventions if needed for that student earlier in kindergarten, and I think that's definitely a big plus. So we received a grant totally for a total of $515,463. This was based on the information that we gave the state. Okay, but we needed to find space, and we told them that we had enough space to provide a 4-year-old program, a 3-4-year-old program for 30 full-time students and 18 half-day students. Now, I think some of the confusion that was created is that some in the public felt that that was for new students, 30 and 18. However, we already have tuition-based students, general education students in the district that we have to give them the opportunity first. So that means that we will have a smaller pool of students, which we will have a lottery. So right now, the way that we are looking at is that we will be able to provide 30 spaces for 4-year-olds at Robert Gordon Elementary School. We're able to find space that requires space for the 2 preschool classes for 4-year-olds at Robert Gordon. Here at Aldine, we will continue to have the half-day program up to 18 students. So that means that we will be able to meet the grant that the state set out for us to have. Finding space was a little bit of a challenge, but we were able to do that with very minor disruption to other classrooms. Actually, the disruption was in small class instruction where we were able to find space in other areas of the building. So what we're going to do, first of all, is send one letter to the parents of the existing students asking or letting them know about our plans and to see if they would like to be part of the full-day program, 4-year-old program at Robert Gordon. That means that some students from here will be transferred to Robert Gordon if and only if they want to do so. Okay? After we know the numbers of full-time students, preschool students, then we will have a lottery. We will actually send out a second letter to the public. It will be emailed to all the parents in the district. We'll also have it on the website. We'll publicize it. And we'll have a lottery for the existing spaces. Okay? Whether it's 10 spaces, 12 spaces, we'll have a lottery. It will be a live lottery, so we'll make sure that it's open to the public, and we will select the students based on that. Prior to that, we will need to make sure, like every other student that registers in the district, that they do have proof of residency here in Roselle Park, and also that they have already turned 4 before October 1st of 2018. So those are the 2 qualifying. Everything will be on the letter. One thing that I do want to make sure everyone is aware This is a one-year operational grant or grant. We do not know if this grant is going to exist or continue or be sustainable for the future. So we are supposed to, as part of the grant, as part of the requirement, we're supposed to start this program January 2nd. It does not give us a lot of time to plan and prepare. So there's going to be a lot of work to put this into place. So we may have this tuition-free program from January 2nd to June, the end of the school year, and if the state does not have, again, the funding to provide us with the grant, we cannot run another year. We will need to go back to a tuition-based program. So I want to make sure that everyone is aware of that, okay? We will keep the parents informed. A letter will go out this Friday to the parents of the students who are paying tuition. The tuition will be reimbursed for the year. That's part of the grant. We will need 2 pre-kindergarten teachers, 2 paraprofessionals, and a professional that's going to oversee, it's called a PERT. It's going to oversee the students' progress, and also it's going to oversee the program. Every single cent will be funded by the grant. Okay? There will not be any additional funding from the taxpayers or from the general operation budget. It will come from the grant, from the $515,000. Okay? We will keep you informed. We will send out first a letter to the parents of the existing students, and then we will send out a letter, we'll post it, we'll email it, we'll send a blast to all the parents, letting them know about the registration for the new students and the lottery when it's going to be associated. Okay? So we will have more information coming up. So that's what I have for you in terms of the preschool. So at this point, I don't know if any board members have any
I have a question.
any questions regarding the grant.
I have a question. First of all, thank you, Mr. Garrido and your staff for getting this grant. One thing I didn't hear is how, in the particulars of the lottery system, how will that work? Is it an actual ticket, or how are you going to do the lottery in order to pick the 4-year-olds? Have you outlined that yet, or are you still working on it?
We have some ideas, and one, obviously, the most fair is to just have names in a box or what have you, and pick them in a live lottery. We will give everyone an opportunity. We'll have a deadline when they have to register, of course, have the registration in the district, and then we will put names of students in a box. I believe that would be the most fair way to select students.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Prior to Mrs. Salvo, so we don't have to have the students, I know how much homework we have and reading time we have to continue the literacy. We want to recognize the students. I know they're eager and excited to receive their certificate. So we'll go to them. Mr. Holmes? I would like to introduce the principal of Aldean School, Ms. Sloan Scully, to give a principal's report, and then we'll start the certificate. So just a couple more minutes, guys. Couple more minutes.
Good evening, Mr. Harms, members of the board, Superintendent Garrido, Ms. Gershio, families and students. Welcome to Aldean. We're delighted to host you this evening. We had a great start to our school year. We had about 70 students who participated in our summer reading program. Last June, they were sent home with a reading log, lists of book suggestions, as well as their own individual reading levels to help them find just the right book over the summer. Students kept track of how much time they were reading, and we celebrated them this month. Each student had an opportunity to select a book of his or her own to take home, courtesy of our generous PTO. They also received for their hard work certificates, coupons, and an Aldean t-shirt raffle. We were very pleased that this year we've had even more students participate in our summer reading program than last year. As part of our social emotional learning character education program this year, our teachers will be implementing practices from Responsive Classroom. Responsive Classroom is an evidence-based approach to education that focuses on the strong relationship between academic success and social emotional learning. Their approach empowers educators to create safe, joyful, and engaging learning communities where all students have a sense of belonging and feel significant. So this year, all classroom teachers will be incorporating morning meetings into their routines. This month, we kicked off the Week of Respect with a student-led assembly. They taught the rest of the student body what respect looks like and sounds like. And each day of the week, students and staff participated in respect-themed activities. All kindergarten students at Aldine are assigned a buddy from the time that they start here, a student in an older grade. And we work with our buddies every month on character-led activities, so the students will have the same buddy all 6 years that they're here at Aldine. This week, the buddies got together and they created likenesses of themselves and each other, which you might see hanging in our hallway, to represent how we're all caring and respectful toward one another. Our new outdoor classroom, which was created by a grant to us from the Lowe's Foundation, is up and running. Students and teachers have been out there doing science experiments the last couple of weeks. A lot of the classes were out there on the days it didn't rain doing experiments with shadows. We're looking forward to adding to this outdoor learning space by getting some container gardens for the students in grades that study plants and seeds and science. Aldine was very fortunate to have a local artist illustrator, Miss Kathleen Ferry, donate her time to creating a mural in our autism hallway. I invite you all to please take a look down there to see the beautiful artwork on the lower level. It has inspired our students to create artwork of their own. And at this point, we're working on scheduling Mrs. Ferry to come back to Aldine and do a book reading and a book signing. This year, we're also instituting a school safety patrol at Aldine. If you're not aware, this School Safety Patrol program is sponsored by the New Jersey State Police and the AAA Automobile Association. Students will be asked to nominate themselves based on their character traits of being helpful, pursuing excellence, accepting others, being respectful and trustworthy. And the Safety Patrol members will be assisting students in kindergarten through 2nd grade in their arrival and dismissal routines. Currently, we're scheduling time for the Red Cross to come in and present the Pillowcase project to our 3rd to 5th graders, which will teach our students how to be prepared in case of an emergency. And we're also continuing to work with the Community Food Bank in Hillside in conjunction with the Rotary Club of Roselle and Roselle Park to provide additional groceries to families in need. Our guidance counselor, Caroline Robbins, will be attending a training and an orientation at the food bank later this week. And last but not least, the Roselle Park Fire Department was here last week, which is always a very popular event at Aldine. All of our students in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade had an opportunity to learn about fire safety and climb aboard the fire truck. So we thank the fire department for that nice visit. And now, I would like to acknowledge some of our students who are here to be honored for their exemplary performance on the park exams. For exceeding expectations on the mathematics park exam, I'd like to call up, and I guess you want them to remain up once we call your name. Please come up and remain up. Ryan Ramirez. Vlad Dobre. Sophia Timura. Aliyah Mishu. Lindsay Herrera Perez. Shanton Menace. I don't know if Shannon can make it tonight. Giuseppe Spano. Sharad Patel. Angela Mendez. And Stephen Gassama. And for exceeding expectations on the English language arts portion of the park exam, Ryan Brandyberry. Susan Shaw. Julia Penn. Mia Ramos. And Cyril Sacco. Congratulations to all of you. You make us all very proud.
Mr. President, if I may, parents going to come and take pictures, please. Thank you.
Just want to say congratulations to all the students. Great job. Thank you. Keep up the good work. Ms. Scully, your building is busy. All of you doing fantastic. Keep it up. Thank you. At this time, we're going to take a 2-minute break so the students can go home, read, write, and arithmetic.
Oh, okay, I'll take that. Yes.
How about 15? Thanks, video. You're on. Good. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is James Sala. I'm the curriculum director for the school district, and tonight I'm presenting the park scores from 2018. In order to keep this moving, I am going to go pretty fast through the data slides. So what I did is I printed just the slide that has quite a bit of data on it, so that we don't have to spend too much time looking at them. If any follow-up questions, I'm sure Mr. Garrido and I would be happy to address them. But I know we're going to go a little bit faster through the information than we probably have time to process some. So just a very quick review. This is the fourth administration of park assessments that started in 2015. Students take assessments in English language arts and math in grades 3 through 11. Park was administered for the fourth consecutive year in the spring, and that's the data that we are looking at prior. Last time we were looking at park data before they transitioned to the NJ SLA assessments for next year, which we'll talk about. Very quick review, the park is scoring is divided into 5 levels, starting at the lowest level 1 up through 5. What we're shooting for is we want our students to be what is considered passing the park assessment, is reaching to levels 4 or 5. So that's our target. Talking about data analysis, park is one measure that we look at. We certainly look very carefully at the park assessment data, but it's just one of many pieces of data that we use. We usually start with the top, the district and school level data. Math and ELA really is our prime priorities, but reading, writing, and sorted by grade levels. We disaggregate the data by subgroups, and we try to look at as many different groupings of students when we're analyzing our data to try to see what is it that our needs are as across a wide spectrum of different clusters. We disaggregate the data by standards, or the terminology that parks use, subclaims. The data is broken down into subclaims, so we try to look as specific as possible at our students. Going down to an item analysis, which we give an assessment to students. If there are 20 questions, we can take a look at how individual students, how classes of students, how grade levels of students, or an entire district does on certain questions, certain types of questions that address certain standards. That's sort of item analysis. And then we go right down to student analysis, which the introduction this year of Linkit, which we piloted quite a bit last year. We've transitioned to using Linkit but not only using their assessments, which are very accurate park prediction, how students will do on park, so we take formative assessments. But we're also using all the local data, such as reading levels, our unit tests, mathematics tests. Teachers are entering that data so we can report on that as well. So we can make reports where we have our park data side by side with our local reading data and assessments we might have given a couple of days ago. So it's really put a tool. Prior to this year, these tools were in the hands of myself, superintendent, and administrators, and we had the ability to do a lot of this data analysis. Now, with Linkit, all this information is put into our teachers' hands, and they can create reports any which way they'd like to look at their students. But right now, we're in the learning phase and getting a good handle on how to use Linkit, but kudos to our teachers that they have jumped on board and have done great things with it so far. There's just a lot of excitement throughout the district. I think Mr. Lange heard quite a bit of it at Curriculum Council last week, but there is quite a bit of excitement of now opening people's eyes as to how they can really drive the decision-making in the classrooms using the data that they want to look at from day to day. So, jumping into the data, as I said, there's quite a bit of data on each of these slides. So I'm just going to point out a couple of key points and let you analyze and look at it and then judge the data for yourselves. On this first slide, the English language arts, we're going to go through all the English language arts data first and then transition to math. On this slide, we're looking at 3 years of park data. It is broken down by level. So it's telling us the percentage of our students that are meeting, or going from level 1 all the way through level 5, tells us exactly what percentage of our students scored in each of those levels over the last 3 years. If you look on the far right column, to keep it simple, what we're trying to do is decrease the number of students who are scoring 1s and 2 on park, the lowest level of achievement, and we're trying to increase the students who are reaching scores 4 and 5 on park. So we want to lower the numbers on the left, increase the numbers on the right side, and the last 2 columns show us what the change was from 2016 to 18. So with 3 years, how are we doing? Those 2 columns on the right, this is that information very specifically of comparing how we're doing and moving students out of levels 1 and 2 up into levels 3, 4, and 5. What we want to see is plus signs in the 4s and 5s and negative signs on the far left. As I said, there's a lot of data there, there's a lot of things to celebrate, there's areas that we are very much aware of that we want to target and focus our energies to show improvement in the areas that we're not happy with. But one of the things that I think is most valuable, and I think that our administrative team takes the most stock in, is this slide, which is comparing where we are as a district to comparing ourselves to the state average. In Roselle Park, we're not an affluent district, we're not a needy district. We're somewhere in the middle. We're a smaller school district, but I think one of the things that we pride ourselves on is that we are a small school district that finds a way to meet the needs of all of our students individually very successfully. There's a lot of good things going on with our data. There's certainly some areas, and I think one thing that we've targeted last year, we started to really talk a lot about it. This year we put a couple of things in place is to deal with the transitions between our buildings. Something that's throughout all the data is when students move from elementary school to middle school and from middle school to high school, we're seeing an impact in our data that's more than we'd like to see it. So that's really where our focus is trying to see what we can do to help our students transition between our buildings a little bit more successfully, because that's where we see the biggest jumps in data that we don't want to see. Overall, just something to keep in mind as we're looking at this slide, Park is, the name of it is Partnership for, oh man, of course it's off the top of my head now, Partnership for Assessment for Readiness for College and Career. Basically, in grades 3 through 10, that's what the state calls an early warning for us that we have students that may not be reaching. If someone's scoring level 2 in 3rd grade, that's a really early warning sign that that student's trajectory, if they stay at that level, they're not going to be ready for college or career as defined by Park. So at the end of the day, what we really like to look at is how are our students doing in grade 11 when all of our work is said and done, and looking to see that the state average is 38% of students are meeting or exceeding English language arts, and for our district, we're at 47.7 district. That's significantly above the state average. And for a district that we have everything going on in our school district of 5 buildings, and we're doing a very nice job, and we are significantly above the state average in having our students exit our school system ready for college and careers. That's something that, as an administrative team, as a teaching staff, as educators, that we're very proud of. Something that's new in the public presentation this year, the New Jersey state reporting shifted its focus to subgroups. And with that, we're presenting the data for the first time broken down into subgroups for both English language arts and math. This first slide is the economically disadvantaged subgroup. This is how students who that classification comes from free and reduced lunch forms. But over a 3-year period, this is the data showing how those students who are classified as economically disadvantaged are performing on Park. Another slightly different graph. This is a different set of subgroups. This one is determined by race. This is how each of the 4 significant subgroups of the district, how they performed on meeting or exceeding Park scores in the 4 subgroups of white, African American, Asian, and Hispanic students. As the New Jersey school performance reports have shifted their focus to subgroups, we have as well, and the Board of Education has a target. One of their board goals for this year is to show increased achievement in each of the subgroups by 2.5%. So on both the slide of the economically disadvantaged and the students broken into race subgroups, we're looking to target and see an increase of 2.5% across each of those subgroups. So that's something that we're able to drill into using Linkit to find out where our deficiencies are, to find out who needs the extra support. So this is something that bringing in Linkit allows us to work diligently to reach those board goals to improve achievement in those subgroups. Turning attention to math data. These are the same 5 slides that we have for language arts, just this is all of the mathematics data. First slide again is showing what percentage of our students in the last 3 years of Park assessments, 2016, 17, and 18, what percentage of our students are scoring at each of the levels. second slide showing how we're doing compared to the state averages in that same time frame. So over a 3-year period, how are we doing in moving our students out of levels 1 and 2 and moving students into levels 4 and 5. Something that I think we're proud of as an elementary buildings. We brought in a new math program knowing that we wanted to see an increase in math. It's been a 2 to 3-year process. Last year was our first year using a new math series with a lot of different ideas, a lot of challenges for our teachers. To see that we had substantial gains in both 3rd and 4th grade was very nice to see, and I do think that as we're continuing to use the program and get more adept in analyzing the data that we're seeing in our students, we're going to continue to see those numbers increase. Again, there are some areas that we are well aware of that we do want to work on in the data. It's not all celebratory, but we are aware and working towards improvement across the board. Something I did want to point out, and I know I pointed this out last year in the presentation as well. For English language arts 3 to 11, it's pretty standard. In mathematics, when you get to 7th, 8th, 9th grade, because of the differentiation in math courses, the data is quite skewed. And that's where you'll see a lot of changes coming from the state in terms of high school graduation requirements, courses, how the tests are formulated, because there's so vast differences in what the expectations are in the upper level math courses. One thing that we did between our middle school and high school in the fall of 2017 was that we felt that we were sending a lot of students to take the Algebra 1 test, that we wanted to push them, we wanted them to challenge themselves, but we did find that some students were taking the Algebra 1 assessment and they weren't quite ready. So what we did was we decided that students who were in 8th grade honors would take the Algebra 1 test. Students who were not in the highest level of Algebra 1 at the middle school, they would take 2 years of algebra so that they were ready. So students needed more time with them. So this was the first year, and you'll see our Algebra 1 scores are very much above what the state averages is. Our decision to pull away from putting all of our students into Algebra 1 was a good decision. So for this year, this data is showing us that our highest level 8th grade students were taking Algebra 1, and our college CP courses, college preparation courses at the high school, took Algebra 1. This coming year, there are students who started pre-algebra at 8th grade and will move into 9th grade. They'll be taking the Algebra 1 assessment. Those are the students that we felt needed a little bit more time to be prepared for that Algebra 1 assessment, and we'll see how that plays out next year. But I think by evidence looking at 64% of our students that took Algebra 1 are meeting and exceeding that. It was the right decision and the right changes to make to our program. The drawback of some of the data is that students who take Algebra 1 in 8th grade, if they want to excel and push themselves and continue to take those highest level math courses, which the highest level course at the high school we offer is Calculus BC. If a student is going to push themselves and they have their eyes set on taking Calculus BC as a senior in high school, what their freshman year looks like is taking Geometry and Algebra 2 simultaneously. When you take geometry or you take any math courses, 2 math courses simultaneously, you can only take one part course, one part test. So our students who take Algebra 1 in 8th grade come into 9th grade, they double up on math courses as freshmen, looking at Calculus BC, which is what we want them to do. We want our students to challenge themselves. Our strongest students who are pushing and challenging themselves, we're only getting one part test of data from them. So if they are taking geometry and algebra 2, they're taking one of those assessments, typically would be geometry. And that's students who don't take algebra 1 in 8th grade, they come to the high school and they want to push themselves and they want to get to calculus. Yes, that would be calculus as a senior, the AB course. If they're going to push themselves, they'll be taking algebra 1 and geometry as a freshman. When they take algebra and geometry as a freshman, they take the algebra 1 course, so they don't take geometry. long story short, we have our strongest math students aren't represented in a lot of that data because they're doubling up. And if a student is doubling up in Algebra 1 and geometry, regardless of which test they take, they're not taking a course that's focused only on that content, so it sort of skews the data that way. One thing that all the curriculum meetings that I go through for Union County and professional development, high school principals, high school administrators struggle with this because what you can do to increase your data in the upper levels of math is not challenge your students and force them to take Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, which are not pushing them and reach their full potential in order to improve the data to present like this. As a district, we don't think that's the way. We want to push our students. We want them to take the highest level of math courses they are, and sometimes that's a negative repercussion of it. The students are not taking the part tests, so they don't have their data to show in a meeting like this. Something else that Mrs. Costa asked me to mention is that we are looking at the criteria for middle school and high school honors criteria to include PARC. With PARC being so controversial when it first came into effect 4 years ago, there's a lot of hesitation for us to put too much weight on it, but we do think that the results are becoming reliable. There's a lot of emphasis on it. It's been here for 4 years now, but they are looking to include those PARC scores in the criteria for honors courses moving forward. Again, subgroup data. This is for the economically disadvantaged students. And second slide breaks the mathematics scores by race or race subgroups for the district. As I mentioned, there is a transition from PARC to what is going to be called the New Jersey State Learning Assessment. So NJSLA-ELA or NJSLA-N for mathematics. Some of the changes that are coming are very popular with educators and parents alike. In grades 3 through 8 and 10 for language arts, they are decreasing the number of units as well as the overall testing time for students. So as you can see, grades 4 and 5 will be going from 3 units down to 2, going from 270 minutes to 180 minutes of testing time. So it'll be a much less instructional time will be dedicated towards PARC assessments, which means that that time will be given back to teachers to instruct and to teach and to work with the students, which is a nice relief. For grades 6 to 8 and 10, same thing, down units, down time. This information was just released on October 5th, and other than speculation and rumors, there has not been any formal information for grades 9 and 11 of what the changes will be for those grade levels with the PARC assessments. Looking at math, very similar changes. Not exactly the same, but in grades 3 through 5, they'll be going down from 4 units to 3, and the time going from 240 minutes to 180 minutes for the testing. Grades 6 to 8, they're keeping the same number of units, but each of those units is being reduced by 20 minutes. So it will be the same number of units, just less questions, less work within each of them for the very same amount of time that goes back to instruction teaching. And again, the information is pertaining to Algebra 1 only at the high school level. There's no information about geometry or Algebra 2 or what those changes are intact for right now. The last slides. This is the parent guide to score reports. So for any parents who receive their PARC scores, there is a ton of information on the web to help you interpret those scores, to help you find out what they mean, what they represent. Also, a lot of questions tend to come up mainly for those who are not educators, that PARC is just one of a million shorthand notes that they'll use and terms that are very specific to education. So the PARC terminology glossary is a helpful place to start if you're just not sure what the educational lingo that is being used around the tests. Understanding Scores is another great resource. The PARC Online parent resource pages, they have information, practice tests, lots of things for parents to check out. New Jersey Department of Education assessment page, and information about the ESSA grants, special education, high school graduation requirements, which are constantly evolving in the last couple of years. That is the most recent link to what is current. And if you want to see more data, there's a link to all the data that the New Jersey Department of Education releases on just about everything you can imagine. I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming out. This presentation will be linked to the district website sometime tomorrow, so if you want to access it. My email is in the slideshow. If there's any questions, if I know the audience is predominantly the Board of Education. If anyone is interested in learning more, just seeing what link it offers our school, just to dive a little bit deeper, I'm more than happy to walk through like Mr. Langai and I took last week. But with that, that's the end of the presentation, and I thank you for your time.